Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Heads up, this is going to be one of those basically no editing weeks. I scrolled through and just saw a ton of questions, and I'm kind of tight for time. I'm even doing this on a Saturday night because I have Sunday plans. So it's going to be low edit, low effort. Apologies for that, but hopefully you enjoyed the more than usual editing I did for the Iron Man video, the first one. I'm excited. That was actually a lot of fun to put together. It's rare that I do a lot of editing nowadays, but that one was pretty smooth to edit, and I've already got an idea of how editing that in the future will look. The mix of pre-recorded stuff that I'm just saying over gameplay versus stuff that I'm actually kind of recording on the spot. Having a mix of that plus the fun facts. I've learned a lot from watching a lot of OSRS content, and I'm ready to take some of that inspiration and put it into my 14 content. Speaking of which, another reason I'm rushing this, I'm recording a Final Fantasy 11 part as soon as I'm done recording this. Listen, I've been really lazy with it. I have a better idea of how to manage my time for it. And I'm finally getting past some stuff in my, personal life. Yes, that's a situation from months ago has been ongoing. And I've still been trying to get answers to absolutely everything, which is going to have its own kind of announcement thing, because everyone deserves to hear about the whole mother situation and how that's been and where that's gone. But it is what it is, and it's been sucking the life out of me, trust me. That's probably the number one reason why I really can't sit down and focus. OSRS has kind of been my escape, and to some capacity, the Iron Man series as well that I started is kind of like a little bit of a, I don't know, it's just tapping into like a comfort zone, and I think to my childhood. 11, I don't really yearn for the old 11 anymore, but it was something that I spent hours and hours and hours of my life doing every single day. And part of it was for that very reason. It was because it was an escape for me. So channeling things into those kind of more grind-centric things, sometimes I just find comfort in that. And OSRS has been giving me that, and the 14 Iron Man stuff has been giving me that. And just doing grinds in general has kind of given me that a lot as of late. But this intro is already longer than I wanted it to be. I'm planning on trying out the Omega encounter in Monster Hunter Wilds. That's going to be its own video this week. I would like to... Well, I'm going to have an 11 video on Wednesday for sure, because I'm recording it right after this. And then I'm also planning... Maybe not this coming week. I have one more raid retrospective to do. I may even do like the entirety of the Stormblood series as well. So I've got raid retrospective. I started continuing the script for my 10-2 video as well, because I do have the 10-2 Platinum series, and Tactics is coming out. So Tactics, I may even, after I do the 10-2 video, I may even divert some attention and do a Tactics Platinum video, since that's coming out. And that'll be a little bit more relevant to the time being. So yes, and I am playing Tactics. So yeah, anyway, I've got a lot of things I want to say, but I should just get through this because I've got a lot to do tonight, because I'm not going to have time to do it tomorrow. So let's get on to the Q&A. Remember, if you have a question, ask it in the comment section of the video below. I answer it in the following week. Be sure to check out the sponsor link in the description of the video for Steel Series if you're ever looking for new hardware. If you have any questions, you can ask them here. You can ask them on my live streams. You can tweet them at me. It doesn't matter. Steel Series has treated me real well. They've been very cooperative with me as I've communicated with them. Cats, no. My cats have been a complete disaster. That's been another thing sucking the life out of me. This cat right here has literally been attacking Ivy like nonstop for the past week. Sometimes she just is too afraid to even leave the room to use the litter box. Sometimes she's too afraid to go eat, and he is just obsessive. So I'm going to wrap up this intro, lock him out of here, even though I really shouldn't, because Ivy, I believe, really needs to go use the litter box and has not all day because she's been afraid of this little bugger. And yeah, then we'll do a Q&A. I'm gonna go lock you in the bedroom. That's what I'm gonna go do. All right, so this entire video is going to be a lightning round, especially because I don't want to keep my cat actually locked in the bedroom for too long, because, I mean, there's food, there's water, there's a litter box in there, but, like, I don't know. I get uncomfortable if I just leave a cat locked in a room and there's nobody supervising that. I don't know. It's just me. So, first question. Haps, hope you're doing all right. Extra hello for anyone who forgets. Recently did some unsynced kills of older Savage fights to help friends get their mounts while we were working on P8S. It reminded me of how much I love doing that fight on content. It's easily one of my favorite fights. So my question to you are, what's your favorite Savage tier in 14 and why? Midas, I think, is the best one. Is it the one I had the most fun with? No, because I didn't really do it on content. But when I think of fights that I've done on minimum item level or low item level and have progressed them as intended, and I did do Midas eventually, I just didn't like go hardcore on it because I was literally like moving, across California when it came out and it just wasn't a priority at the time. Midas, I think collectively, just all 4 fights are strong. And it's very rare. There's very few tiers where I can say all 4 fights are strong. I think this tier was actually a tier where all 4 fights are strong. And I think for an individual, so that's for the whole tier. So I'll answer Midas for the tier because I have the best experiences with it. I've had the best experiences going back to it. It's great. What are a few of your favorite Savage Fight and what makes them your favorite? I think I did a video on this, didn't I? I feel like I did. Maybe I didn't rank all the Savage Fights of all time. Favorite Savage Fights. Okay, gonna go back to Midas. A7S is one of the best executed fights they've ever made to this day. I know a lot of people like to go towards Brute Justice, but Brute Justice is kind of like a really good fight that kind of makes sense more. How do I put it? There's a lot of things they do in A7 they've never done since, and they just don't do at all. And they didn't do before, they didn't do after. So that's a big one. But I think the creativity and the willingness to like take risks was bigger back then when the game didn't have as many players, just because they just were more willing to do it. They had to, right? And they've played it safer instead in the later years to try to appeal to more people. It's why the content for everyone aspect is a little scary, because I'm not confident they can pull that off. Because you know what I always say, a game for everyone is a game for no one, and I am concerned about that with the upcoming Quantum. I keep telling people it's not a grand slam dunk. It's like we really need to look at it and criticize it. What are some of your favorite mechanics in a Savage Fight? So since I'm on the raid retrospect, the problem is I've actually been doing this. That's kind of been the point of my raid retrospective video, is I've gone over some of my favorite mechanics, things we could see again. But I'm actually going to say that, what's a really good one? I mean, P8S is, when you already know how to do it, the DNA part of P8S is pretty cool. But favorite mechanics? I'm really trying to think, because it's tough to, a lot of them boil down to stuff that I've done a million times. So it's something that genuinely, you know what? One of my favorite mechanics is P4S, the Enrage of the second phase, the towers with the conal AoEs coming out of the boss. That's one of my favorite, like, sort of final Enrage sequences where you have to do the tower bit twice in a row. And everyone has to control it. The AoE healing has to be on point. You have to know the order. Everyone has to make sure they're dodging. There's still auto attacks on the tank. It's something that's really simple, but it makes the final bit of P4S that much more exciting. Bonus, what's your favorite ultimate? I think Fru. I think DSR is the best, like, objectively and subjectively, to be honest. But I think Fru is actually my favorite. I have the best memories of it, and I think that it's better balanced than it gets credit for. Oh, I almost forgot I was doing a lightning round, so I was ready to do the cut right there. The next one, enjoyed watching the Dragon Quest video, knowing you're getting into the series, been a staple. Seeing as you played 11, I have to ask, who is your favorite character? Man, I'm trying to remember the names. Sylvando. Sylvando is just, he's that larger-than-life experience on the screen, and super entertaining, actually really good as a party member. And definitely a highlight. So I'm definitely going with Sylvando. Veronica was who I was going to say, but no, Sylvando makes me laugh every time. Having just played Trails in the Sky, he's kind of like the Olivier of that series, of Dragon Quest XI specifically for me. So that's the comparison I would make. But I think Sylvando, he's definitely the most like uplifting and entertaining character in 11 in my experience. Instead of adding unique gemstones to a Realm Reborn zone phase, would it be a bad idea just to incorporate the current gemstones similar to the mobile version? They add a new NPC in Mordona where you can exchange gemstones for dyes, older materia, some assorted minions, maybe some music scrolls. Yeah, the big thing is that the question last week, if I recall, was about really getting current players to go back to the old zones. And that would happen in such limited capacity. The big thing is why would a current player go back to the old zones to grind gemstones if they weren't old gemstones? Like, they need to be like a completely different type of gemstone, because it'd make more sense to just do it in Dawn Trail where you get the most gemstones because of all the mechanics and the bonuses that come with it, which then doesn't help with the problem. So that's the thing, is that there's a lot of issues with just trying to retroactively do it. But I do think there are solutions. I brought up those solutions in some videos in the past. In fact, one in the last couple of months even. But I think that adding materia to the old world is not a bad idea. But the problem is we get through it so quick that it's hard to incentivize players to use that materia. If anything, it would make it easier for free trial players. And I think if you add a quest that gets people to understand the gemstones are there and that the different tiers of materia are there, then for free trial players, it at least incorporates it better into their experience. It's one of those things where Is it super important to do? No. Is it beneficial to do? At least for some people. So it's a matter of expecting something like that to happen is super low. So yeah, you've even said, the veteran players already have the gemstones. That's the problem, is if you actually want people to go back and inhabit old zones, then you have to create new rewards, but the new rewards need to be valuable to those late game players, and glam is really the only reasonable thing. And it also still has to be valuable to new players. It's one of those where it's like, there's absolutely solutions. Is it worth the dev time? I think that one dev on their lunch break maybe should look into it. First time asking a question, welcome. Why don't devs item level sync normal and alliance raids, but they do for high level dungeons? You probably already know about this. Really wish they do because the experience for... Well, here's the thing. The item level sync's not even the problem. It's literally our power bloat. Like, our skills had like 80 to 120 potency back then. And while the calculations are different now, you have like 500 potency skills in those old raids. So while we are synced down to the highest available item level of those raids, like we're 130 in Labyrinth of the Ancients, for example, not only are we sinking down and we're super crazy strong, but our skills have gotten way stronger too. So that, even if you did sync us down to, let's say 90 for Labyrinth of the Ancients, that would have been the on-content sync, like the highest gear available would have been 90. So let's say you did that. Honestly, we would still roll it over. Like Bone Dragon would last a few seconds longer. Maybe you would get to the third ghost on the second boss, but it really wouldn't change all too much. You would still really, and the same with Circus Tower, like you'd still probably skip everything in Scylla and in Gladiola. Like you'd have to take extra effort. Like you'd actively have to go in there and make them stronger on top of reducing the item level to really achieve the desired effect, I think. Question about looking for a static for the next tier. I want to look for a semi-hardcore group that does serious hours and serious progs as I want to push myself. So you want hardcore hours, but without the expectation of world first, is what it sounds like. But not week one. Okay, never mind. So you don't want hardcore hours. Okay, so you want like, you just want every night. Okay, semi-hardcore is tough. The problem with the term mid-core is that it's so vague and not well defined. When it comes to raiding, if you are semi-hardcore, generally speaking, it means you are taking off work and you're doing 8 hours at least per day. So mid-core is probably what you're looking at. You want people that have lives, but when they get home from work on that week, every night you want to be going, or as much as possible, you want to be going. And I find that the toughest thing with those types of groups is that there's always one or two people that want to go more than the mid-core schedule that they have. And so you're kind of looking for that hardest to get right type of group. How long before the patch do most groups generally start looking? Right now or even earlier? But between now and patch would definitely be the ideal time, especially post quantum. Should I be looking now? Yes. It seems to be mostly either casual groups still working on the current tier or hardcore week one world prog. Yeah, it's tough. But if you just put yourself out there and you just like occasionally repost like every like few days or every week or so, then usually you'll find something. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. You're literally looking for one of the hardest groups to actually get the right 8 people for. But semi-hardcore, I don't think is the term. I don't like the term mid-core, but I think it is the term you actually want to look for. Hypothetical, a new FFMMO is announced and 14 is getting ready to sunset. How would you like for this new MMO to play? You have free reign in games. I still want a tap target MMO. I genuinely don't find the appeal in full action MMOs for more than like I burn out way harder on those types of MMOs than I do on tap target MMOs. Like the idea of like playing, I don't know. I've played a lot of action MMOs. I'm even going to be playing Blue Protocol. But I burn out playing them way faster because of the volume of inputs and generally the kind of flashiness of it. That might just be a Korean MMO problem specifically, so maybe a Japanese one wouldn't go like as crazy. But I mean, I would honestly just like a better version of Final Fantasy XIV. I fundamentally have no major concerns with the way Final Fantasy XIV is conceptually designed. There's just too many concessions made, both because of the engine and technical debt, as well as the idea to appease absolutely everyone, that it's been simplified too much. So it's like if the engine was less of a limiting factor for things and they had more freedom to kind of express themselves. I would just want 14, but better, in all honesty. I would not want anything that's like trying to be crazy, like more, more engaging quest design as the average, and more slightly more engaging encounters early on, and a better learning curve going in, and again, better glam system. A lot of the usual criticisms we have that a lot of people tie back to the engine. If we could resolve the majority of those, then I wouldn't want anything else, in all honesty. Then we have few curiosity as you feel regards to the Savage 4 fights have been so far in regards to going into their phase 2 with M4S being 1 HP across both phases compared to MHS was 2 HP. It's indifferent. I'm indifferent. I just care about the total encounter length, which 12 to 14 minutes is... It's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of pressure on more casual players. I think M12S is going to be a... I think it's going to be a door boss. I think it's going to be... I think I like the idea of a checkpoint boss being something that's truly extravagant. The problem is if you do it too much, everyone expects it, right? And then if you don't do it at all, people wonder why you're not doing it. Like, look at P4S, for example. Why is that a checkpoint? Because he sucked up some Mrhappy energy and became that thing? I don't know, like, that boss is already not, like, a super exciting one. Yeah, he looks cool, he's got a cool theme, but, like, his scope of everything, it's like, it doesn't mean anything, right? Like, I feel like a lot more people felt connections to Wicked Thunder, they felt connections to Howling Blade, because they're real characters. This was a character we basically met, they sicked a Phoenix on us, and then we killed them, and then they died. And they died on their own terms to boot. Like, it was like... I feel like a checkpoint should signify, like, a major... You know what I think of it is? You ever get to, like... You ever do, play, like, a single-player RPG? And there's no checkpoints for, like, the majority of bosses. But when you get to one that has it, you know it's, like, crazy serious. With Savage, it's just too normal. But for the final boss of the whole expansion's raid tier... A checkpoint makes total sense to me. I'm okay with it not being one, but I think they will do it. And I do think they will do a checkpoint for M12. For for M12 for the final match. Maybe we'll just call it FM, final match. Who knows? Just made my own FC, super excited. I'm of the belief that at a certain point in any game you play, but particularly with MMOs, you do kind of have to make your own fun to continue enjoying the game. I completely agree. Do you have any ideas to incentivize doing content as a collective that the game doesn't do by design? Roulette's incentivizing players with others to potentially help Sprout's mentor system. I want to scrap the whole mentor system, man. I don't feel like it does any good for... I'm not going to say not for anyone, but it feels like more people are mentors to get rewards for being mentors than they are to help players. And I think that the problem is, what are you going to give those players that they actually need? Like, you effectively have to create progression-based item scarcity to really incentivize players, but then that's actually going to do the opposite. The problem is, people have to want to help people. If you give them a reason to try to help people, then you get people who don't want to help people, who just want to reap the rewards. And one mount is enough to do that. One extra roulette and one mount is enough to do that with Mentor Roulette. If you go even further into the rewards, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So it's tough. I don't even know. Like, crafters selling directly to players in cities. I mean, we do that, but like, you're asking for a bazaar system or a stall system, and I don't dislike those things, but for the most part, people just advertise, like they just craft in the cities, or like people advertise when they need to buy things. But I mean, that's fine. I think you're making a decent suggestion here where like, you can have your FC choose to put up a stall that sells items, and if your FC sells items, it goes directly into the chest. I see no problem with that. They'd have to create like a market area, because if you just had that for everyone, then everyone with like one person FCs, there you go, there becomes the problem. One person FCs just flooding everything, and there are a lot of them. It's tough because 1.0 had a market area, and it was a disaster. Granted, all of 1.0 is a disaster, but like that was also like a particularly bad disaster. It got better over time, but I'm not going to say it ever got good. It got tolerable is the best way to put it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that this is not inherently a bad suggestion. It's just that doing it without it being a mess is difficult. But if they can figure out how to do that, then, there's really no problem with that. I'm saying people throw around the solution of fixing 14 is to create a new engine as if it were a simple task. Yeah, I know, right? I'm really curious what your thoughts on the matter were. That you'd sooner just make a new MMO than make a new engine for an existing MMO. The problem with that is that unless you carry everything over to the new, like that's the thing. Okay, obviously people are going, well, every 3 Final Fantasies they make an MMO. Remember, 3 is a pattern, not 2. So it's crazy if people just think 17 is going to be an MMO. I'm fairly certain they're not doing. They already have Dragon Quest X, Final Fantasy 14, and Final Fantasy 11. I sincerely doubt you're ever going to see another MMO from Square Enix as long as all 3 of those are in operation. And honestly, even if one of them were to shut down, I just don't think they want to make another MMORPG. I think they'd be too concerned with cannibalizing their own player base instead of incentivizing them to play. You'd sooner see like a 14 classic style scenario than anything else. But yeah, I do think that that you would sooner see them just make a whole new MMO. If they do an engine update, though, my thoughts would be they'd have to be working on it for literally 5 years. And by that point, would the engine then be outdated again? Quite possibly. But I mean, that's the problem with games, that they take a while to make. And then when you are done making them, is it even still the right technology for the game? It's just, yeah, I just think they'd sooner make a whole new game. Let's see. Would you like Tombstone Step for the new Relic Grind more if it came with some form of way of acquiring the same material you bought? Yeah, that's literally all I've been asking for. I haven't been asking to get rid of tomes. I've been asking to have the tomes just be one of the options. I want the option to be a fucking nerd and to sit there and work on them all by doing something that's more grind. So here's the thing. You have the general passive acquisition of something through something like tomes. And you can do whatever you want to get tomes, but now your tomes are being completely cannibalized by this one activity. And you cannot use them for any sort of crafted materials. Same goes for poetics, all the different relics and all the past materials and anything you could. They're all cannibalized by that same currency. So to free up my tomestones or to use them to speed things up, I'd like the option to grind something in particular. I don't want to take away the tombstone step. I want to give it more options so that I can actually feel like I'm more... It's better to have a focused goal than to say just do whatever you want. You ever had decision paralysis? Or just like, you know, just too many cooks in a kitchen? It's kind of like that, but in terms of grinding tomestones. What you've said is literally all I've been asking for. Is the same exact material in another way. Heck, the anima weapon would let you trade in, like, there was like 10 different exchange options to trade in for one of the steps. And so it's like, okay, you could just do that again. And then people who just want to do tomes, they're perfectly welcome to just do tomes. They could just keep doing tomes. It's great. Let's do it. There have been talks now for a while. The root cause of issues currently experiences Yoshi P, and there are people who want him out and replaced by someone else. That would not help, trust me. It's not Yoshi P's growing workload and Square Enix causing him to lose focus. There are hundreds of team members on that. One person having an additional workload, it does not cause fundamental issues across absolutely everything. There are people who are in charge. There are other people who have decisions, who make decisions, project managers, workflow. It's a fundamental decision problem more than it is anything else. It's a fundamental workflow and decision-making problem. He doesn't sit there and go, you guys are doing all this, and that's all that's going to ever be done. That's not how it works. There's leads across the different teams that all do that, and then they work with the director. Specifically, the director just happens to be the producer as well in this case. And then that's when things are done. I'm going to experience project management. I believe it's more because of how Square Enix isn't giving enough resources. The thing is, it's not even that they're not giving enough resources. They are basically 100% hiring all the time. They always have hiring applications. Their strictness on who they hire is more likely a given problem because they have to be someone who lives in Japan, who speaks the language natively, and has experience in game dev, and has experience in MMO game dev, or someone who needs to be trained because they have some experience in game dev, but not specifically in both 14. And then even then, they have to go through the process of learning the engine. They've effectively got a giant barrier for entry that makes hiring anyone nigh impossible. And it's just such a strict experience. And they've even said, Yoshi P himself has said that our project management, and our workflow needs work. Like, he's openly stated that there's an issue with how they actually do their project management and make sure that they have the right people available and the right teams available. And so they've clearly made management level mistakes, and I think he takes some credit for that. But that fundamentally, I think we see this across all of the Square projects. Like, we have seen so many Square projects that have come from different directors, different producers, different teams, different developers that have their own host of massive different problems. I mean, do you remember the Valkyrie, Elysium, Diofield, Chronicle, like that era of releases where they put like 7 releases out in like 3 months, and most of them were basically like negative AA games? Like, it was really bad, and that was clearly a fundamental company related problem that they are hopefully working on. We've been seeing some really good stuff. We see Elliot. I'm glad they're giving resources to that. We're seeing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD. Dragon Quest 3 went really good. Dragon Quest 7 looks like it's going to be really strong. They are now moving to multi-platform across. Like, we're actually seeing the course correction in real time. The problem is that people were screaming a lot of those things at them for years, and it took until things got this like bad for the company and its reputation as a whole that they then decided to course correct. I think it's a fundamental, just entire problem, like with project management and quality assurance and everything within the company, that does not boil down to one person, but a series of decisions. And let's be clear, he is someone with power, so he's clearly a part of that same decision-making process problem. I just don't believe in putting all the onus on one person. I think that's scapegoating. If somebody else takes over, does that mean the game is actually going to get better? No, probably not. It doesn't really change anything fundamentally about like how the game is made and how the projects themselves actually move about. So I wouldn't be optimistic about anything good coming from somebody new being in charge, other than them having to get caught up to speed, unless they've been already training someone this whole time. Anything coming out in October you're hyped about? I mean, Tactics is the end of September. It's basically October, right? Blue Protocol, Star Resonance is a big one. Digimon is tempting, but I don't think I'll have the time because of Tactics, because of Quantum, the Monster Hunter collaboration. I'm going to TwitchCon, Blue Protocol. So there are other games, but I'm having a hard time remembering them. But those are kind of the ones off the top of my head. Having played Occult Crescent, do you think putting random treasure chests in the current expansion zones is a good idea? I think if you make it so you have to do fates to respawn them, it works kind of okay. Like the exact same system of needing to do fates or earn bicolor gemstones to respawn them. And that could actually help a little bit with the problem in the previous zones. If you put silver chests around with ethereal gear in the really old zones, and you have to do fates in order to actually get them to respawn. I mean, again, we just zoomed through those zones, but I mean, it would make things look a little more alive than they are. And then, yeah, they could have bonus bicolor gemstones in them, just a little bit of gil materia, and then you put like 1 or 2 really rare rewards in them, and you're probably all right. Summer FanFest, you ever been to a convention? Oh, yeah, I've been to PAX's, I've been to Twitch. I'm going to TwitchCon again next month. I've been to KupoCons. I'd love to go to Gateway Fate, but I don't think that's going to happen. And there's another one I'm thinking. I mean, I've been to a whole bunch of live events, yeah. Do you think an outside Fate or CE that affects the Fort Tower boss would be a good idea? No. I don't think it was a good idea, honestly, back in, what's it called? Back in Eureka. It's, like, cool in concept, but it made more sense with, like, Absolute Virtue specifically, because the whole point of that boss was that the spawn method was notoriously, like, stupid. Like, not even everyone had, like, random theories about how to weaken him, so it kind of ties into that history. But no, I think it's better that there's a reward for people on the outside who happen to have their zone being occupied by people inside. I think that's the better trade-off, personally. Hi, 2 hellos. When it comes to scarcity, don't we already have in-game things like the pterodactyl? So there's a difference between an item being scarce because it takes forever to grind it out, and an item being scarce because you can never guarantee that you're going to get it. One of those looks like a mountain that you know will take forever to climb. The other one is more like being at a beach with a metal detector. Like, you go and you just kind of hope you strike gold once in a while. People who are really insane grind it out super hard. And some people just get lucky. Like, your friend, let's say there was like a rare minion from doing a fate, and your friend started playing the game tomorrow, and they go, oh yeah, while I was doing this fate, I had this like random minion just like drop as a reward. Does that like drop from that fate? And you go, what? You got that? That's so rare. That's crazy. And suddenly that person has this really wonderful experience of that one time that they got something that was like truly rare and that people sometimes try to get. It creates moments like that. So those things are good. I think long grind achievements and long grind things, they're good to have, but we don't just want more of those. The idea is that you're creating lots of different ways to give people choices on how to spend their time. And there's just a lot of people who deliberately seek out incredibly rare items, treasure hunters, pet collectors, whatever. They already do that. If you create more opportunities for those people to engage with the game, then you're creating reasons for them to log in or to stay logged in if they're already in. But yeah, that's it. Wouldn't it be nice making everything tombstones if they just raised the cap to poetics to 10,000 so you don't have to worry about overcapping ever while being lazy? Oh, that was the second question. I thought that was related to the first question. I mean, yeah, if they want to raise the cap, great. Like, sure, I'm not going to say no, but it's certainly not a priority issue, I feel like. Besides, I'm sure there's some sort of, like, concern with how much information is stored in that menu per character on a given screen. They've talked about it with other things before, but I'm sure it would be a problem with that, too. And that's probably part of the reason why they don't push it above 2,000. Let's see. I have two questions. Two questions about FanFest. From my understanding, when they make them available, you can't just go and buy them right away. I kept seeing that the opportunity to even buy them is raffled off. So it was raffled last time. That every time before that, it wasn't raffled, but you basically just had to be super quick and hope that the website didn't break for you. The raffle was to prevent needing to do that. But basically what they do is anyone who has been like a subscriber for the past, I think 90 days gets priority. It might be 60, 30. I don't remember, but it's like you have to be subscribed for a certain amount of time prior to the tickets going on sale. And then those people get the first wave. And then if any are left over, that is when they do open sales to everybody, and that's at a later date. It almost never makes it to that. Like, it can, and it has once or twice, but it's so very rare. Most of the time, the tickets are just gone super, super quick. Now, if you want to get a ticket to another fan festival, like Europe or Japan, it's a bit more complicated, because somebody in those regions, effectively, if I'm recalling correctly, needs to make you their +1. So, like, they need to buy 2 tickets, and then you are the second ticket. So you usually have to actively seek players who are who have a second ticket who are willing to bring you. So it's a bit more complicated of a scenario. 2, what kind of activities do they usually have there? A friend of mine showed me the Ruby Weapon shirt he got. Yeah, I don't know what the last time they even did shirts. Did they do shirts at the last one? I don't remember. Kind of activities, they usually have like a few like little fun activities. Like they've had archery, and they've had like a not a dance floor, but they've had like a red light, green light style store, I think it is. They had like, one of them had like a boss arena, and like mechanics would get like flung at you, I think it was. That might have been the Korean one that had that. They usually have like a PvP section, a trial section. They have the stage. I'm trying to think. They have the merch section. Yeah, and then the mini games, it really just depends on what they actually have. I'll be honest, I only go for the people. I almost never actually partake in the events. Maybe I'll like worry about reporting on the stuff on stage other than the 2 big ones, a live letter and an opening keynote. And then there's, of course, the concert. You know, there's usually 2 concerts, a piano concert and a main concert. The piano concert the first night, the regular concert the second night. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But for the most part, I genuinely find it's best to go just to meet people who you've played the game with and to kind of just have a cool time wherever you're going. And Anaheim's a great place. So if you're going to the American one, there's a lot to look forward to in Anaheim. Disney World, Disneyland, one of the two, is also not far. So that's also really, really good. Next one, I hope you had a good week. Hi, thank you. Fielding this question in the comments section as much as you, just to see if I can get a wider set of recommendations. Really enjoyed the Moogle, Postmaster, and Scholastic questlines. Wonder if you know of any other questions. Have you done, what is it, the greatest tale never told? What is it called? There's one that's like literally, if you do it blind, it's like a scavenger hunt. It's like, I think it's called The Greatest Tale Never Told. That one's really good. That's my recommendation if you haven't done that one. I'm not even going to bother with more. That's the one you should do, and do it blind, because unless you hate doing it blind, but I don't think you'll get as much out of it. It's definitely different than the Postmaster and Scholasticate, but it's still really cool. Also, don't forget, there's like the combined quest lines for stuff. I said I wouldn't do any more, but here we go. The combined quest lines for like role quests, the Shadowbringers ones are great, and those lead into the Void quests, which combine with doing the Warring Triad stuff from Heavensward. There's a lot out there, but I guess those are the two that I'll definitely recommend. I don't normally comment. I'm curious about your favorite primal summon trial. Is like actual primal summon. Yeah, Susano's up there. You said Susano. I was thinking Ravana. It's Ravana and Susano. They're like really both up there for me. I just what is his line is? The ringing steel of combat or something like that with Ravana. They've got similar like I'm just glad to be here vibes. Although Ravana a bit more war driven. I think it's fair to say. An extra hello. I don't think anyone's forgotten, but I haven't been paying much attention. Final Fantasy 7 almost done. Is there any other numbered title or non-numbered Final Fantasy you'd like to see get similar remake treatment? No. I would rather they focus on Final Fantasy 17, and if they are going to remake the old ones, remake them in the style. Like if you're going to do 1 to 6, HD 2D them, voice act them, do them like you do Octopath Traveler, do them like you're doing the Dragon Quest remakes. And then for 8, 9 are really the only other ones I would like to see remade. And even then, I'd rather not. I'd rather they just get more HD. Like, I don't know. I want to look for the new stuff. Like, I'm nostalgia. Square Enix nostalgia baits me enough as it is, and I eat it up every time. Something new is preferred for me. In case you're wondering, by the way, yes, I am also doing OSRS on the side right now. Listen, I'm starting my group Iron Man character. I was playing my regular character. Then I joined my girlfriend's group Iron Man on a new character, and I'm trying to get caught up, so I'm trying to get my Dragon Defender back. I've got 580 tokens right now. I've only got the bronze. Anyway, I remember back when Blue Protocol Star Residence had its closed beta, so you're streaming it. I couldn't catch the streams, but I'm curious what your takeaway was. Really fun. Good ideas. Good content. A little concerned about the monetization. And I think that's where everyone is, because you can technically buy power, or you could buy power in the beta. And it's a really it's not even that roundabout way of doing it, but it's just I don't really agree with it. And I feel like if that doesn't change, and there's a difference between someone who bought some power versus someone who isn't, it's really significant, then it's going to be a major problem. The problem is that all of the systems were great, but there's like a gacha that you can do without paying, but you can also choose to pay for it. And the gacha gets you just like these phantom units that you can summon. They give you like extra skills that you can use in combat, and you can craft them. You can earn them from bosses. It's great. Like there's nothing in the gacha that's exclusively from the gacha, from my understanding. But you could just get some of the most crazy OP ones like really quick if you wanted to, and I don't like that. So it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that's how they should be doing it. But I know that when it comes to, at free-to-play MMOs, that's always the concern. So we'll see how it actually goes. I would recommend don't put any money into it unless you just want to get like the battle pass or something. Try it out for like a couple of weeks when it comes out October 9th, and then go from there based on how you're feeling. Because I thought it was a lot of fun. I see a lot of promise, but I see a lot of potential self-sabotage as well. So I'm very much concerned. I had a friend that wanted to play 14, but most of them quickly lost steam during the MSQ and dropped it at some point. I think it takes too long for us to play together. What I noticed one of the biggest problems is not being able to play the MSQ alongside them. Aside from Dungeon Trials, why can't they let us progress MSQ as a party when we sync down like New Game Plus just to experience it with them? I mean, you can run alongside them if you want. Like, you can technically just spend time with them and just not... Like, the quests, the quests are just going to disintegrate. Most of the quests are just talking to NPCs. And, like, the solo trials, the solo instances, like, there are plenty of other games that do the same thing. So, the big thing is just being social and being supportive, not necessarily actually, like, running them through and doing everything, unless you, like, want to help them by, like, healing them and, giving them lifts, like if you have, a two-seater mount or stuff like that. But you have to want to do that in the first place. The reason why we don't have a better system for it is because there's no group questing in general. Like, there's no quests that you just randomly do out in the world that require a group to begin with. So, you have to want to group up for basically like nothing, and I don't see that changing because they've gone in the opposite direction. They're not going to swing back in the direction that we're talking about right now. Long time, first time asking. Welcome. Cruiser Rate's been my first Savage here. I've been doing the fights in the PF and having a pretty good time for the most part, but after getting stuck in M6S ads for about 2 months and now again for a few weeks in Millennial Decay. Do you have any insight how to weigh waiting for a party to fill versus getting time to fight? Hold on, let me read what the second question is actually. And B, finding a static. Finding a static, actually, when you just PF a bunch, sometimes you just find a static that way. Like, people are just suddenly like, yo, do you want to make a static? Or, yo, I played with this guy in PF. He seemed like he was pretty good. Or he seems like he'd be a good fit for our static. But no, there's like recruitment discords, a Reddit recruitment. There's all sorts of things. If you just do a quick Google search, you'll probably find them. But how to weigh? There's no way to weigh it, dude. Like, you just have to remember who you've played with and like how those parties went. And then go like, that person was dying like to the same mechanic like every time for like 6 pulls. And like, I mean, I'm not, it's not like I'm a god, but like, you know, nobody else was dying and then the party disbanded. Like, you have to actually keep like track of the people you're playing with. So that's the only way to actually weigh whether it's worth the wait or not, is to remember names and experiences with those people. If they were average experiences, like they died sometimes, but most of the time they did okay, you know, then you just pray for the best. But all you're ever doing in the PF is praying for the best. So that's honestly my only advice is good luck. Hello, I enjoy the Unreal system conceptually, but I would love for them to find a way to incorporate Savage fights. I don't think that's a good idea. 2 issues in mind I don't know if they'd be able to solve. Do you think it would be too much raid content if there was an additional Savage fight for players to do on top of the Savage tier, sometimes Ultimate, whatever it means? No, it's not about having too much Savage. It's just that the whole point of Unreal is that you play a mini-game. Asking people to pug a Savage level encounter to play a game where you try to find hidden tiles is a bit of an ask. So we need a whole different reward structure as a whole. And it would have to be something competitive with the current Savage tiers, like raid structure. I mean, people have wanted Savage and Ultimate Unreal for ages. Ultimate Unreal would just be about preserving fight difficulty, I think. Like, I think if you gave it the exact same rewards, like, I mean, I guess that could be the solution. But then that's even weirder. Like, if you give that Savage fight, like, all of its Savage tier rewards, but as the current item level, but then it goes away. Like, that's the problem, is like, then as an Unreal, it just goes like, okay, and then now those high item level versions of those items are gone, which doesn't feel good as a player either. See where I'm going? Game design, it's hard. And then there's a second question here, right? Whatever miscellaneous content they incorporate, that's something that's been on my mind. Okay. Like some of the old coils. I thought there was a second question. Why did I think that? I didn't. No, I answered the question. Thank you. Weird question. Do you watch professional wrestling? I haven't watched WWE since it was WWF as a kid. Yeah, the acting of it, I couldn't be interested. You know, I think the very last time I watched WWF was, I think Kurt Angle was threatening to throw Stone Cold Steve Austin off of bridges, and he just kept taking him to separate bridges until he agreed to fight him at WrestleMania for the belt. I was like 12 or something. Yeah, that was wild back then. But no, I haven't watched it in a long time. Hope all is well. It's been a while since you said you'll make a review on Blue Protocol. Yeah, I never got around to it. Like I said at the start of this video, my scheduling has been an absolute mess. People have been waiting for Final Fantasy 11 parts, for the normal Final Fantasy 14 parts. Now I have the Iron Man series. I still have the Platinum series that still needs to be ongoing. And I have a new game coming out that, yeah, it's been a mess. I have not been able to focus with like the things that have been going on in my life. Like, it's just, that's been the tough part. So I've just haven't been able to balance the time. So probably not going to bother with that video. And I think that there's one more question. Yeah, there is. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning. I've been very happy to see Vera with hats, ears clipping out, and everything. I love it, but that took many years to do, and I find myself losing hope that quality of life improvements like fixing the friends list or improved housing will ever be done. Do you have any sense or inside info? Even if I did have inside info, why would I answer that here? Why would I ruin an entire professional relationship to do it? I don't. They don't tell me anything. They don't call me up and be like, yo, we got this coming. Yo, yeah, you ready? Okay. Yeah, that doesn't happen. And then I don't think the TARDIS housing thing we've been waiting for. They just kept saying, it's been like, what, 2-3 patches now where they've said that it's just not ready yet. The friends list they mentioned at the Dawn Trail media tour, I think I asked about that. And I said, yeah, you're doing stuff for the blacklist, but what about the friends list? I think they said like, yeah, that'll come in the future. I don't know. I have a whole video complaining about the friends list. Again, people act like I don't criticize this game. I have an entire video ranting about how bad all the social features in this game are. And I need a video ranting about how bad the frickin' raid finder is. Anyway, that was the last question for this week's Q&A. So, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to ask your questions for next week. Be sure to support SteelSeries by using the affiliate link in the description and the 12% discount code that's available year-round. And I'm going to go record that Final Fantasy XI part now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.